Okay, Jess. So it has been 2 weeks. We had an unexpected week off, which we'll talk about later in the episode. But we've had a full 14 days to think about it. So what have you got for me for the opening of the show?
That's usually your department.
You don't have anything? It's been 14 days.
Yeah, I only did my deep dive this morning.
I guess I haven't taught you well.
It's gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I bless the rains down in Africa. It's gonna take some time to do the things we never had.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sadie Hawkins Pod.
When I gave the punchline, I know I'm a dick. So much has been going on. Here we are. We're finally ready to bless the rains. But we had quite a week.
Is that problematic? I don't know. We'll get into it.
I guess we'll get into it. But so here at Sadie Hawkins Pod Studios, we've had a crazy week. This is the first time that we flat out just missed a week.
Yeah.
There's one other time where we knew we weren't going to have time to record an episode, so we prepared. We released a Patreon episode, a cut down, but mostly long form Patreon free episode. But what happened was...
Excuse me. Sorry, that might happen here and there.
Well,
that's what happened.
Jessica had a massive allergy attack last week. And we had picked, we were going to talk about Africa. As you know, when we talked about Earth Day 2 weeks ago, we had said we were going to do Africa. So here we are, we're doing it. And then basically we had a real infestation of dust mites. A real infestation. You don't really think of dust mites as being something that infests your home, but Jessica was coughing like crazy. She was basically allergic to our home. Yeah. And it was a horrible situation to be in. We're like, do we just move? It's like if you had a poltergeist. It's I guess we just move. And then finally, but we weren't even sure why it was. And then I was pulling up furniture apart and vacuuming and cleaning and doing all this stuff. Never occurred to me to check the closet and the clothes. And then after a couple days of work, we sit on the couch, we relax for a minute. Jessica puts her head on my chest, and she's like, she's having a horrible coughing fit. And she's like, did this shirt just come out of the closet? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, I'm allergic to all our clothes. So we spent a full week cleaning everything in our closet. It was a horrible situation. It was a full-time job.
I had to sleep on our couch.
She had to sleep on our couch for days.
I couldn't go in the bedroom for a week. I couldn't even help. And then finally I got
that's the other
an
problem.
Industrial gas mask so that I could go in, and I was still coughing.
We got it right here.
Happy May the 4th, Jessica. It's me, Darth Danny. That's how we could open the episode.
You're more of a Bane
it's more of a Bane
than a Vader.
Only when you have done all your laundry, then you have my permission to re-enter the bedroom.
And there's more than one kind of dust mite, which is also crazy, because I've had a number of allergy tests done over the years, and they're always so you're allergic to 2 kinds of dust mites, and I'm like, wow, awesome, thanks. Thanks, genetics.
So, yeah, it was a full-time job on top of my full-time job, and Jessica couldn't help with the first portion of it. She just had to sit there and wait for the clean items to slowly come in, and then she could start helping. So it's been a horrible, horrible week. On top of that, as I joked about in the cold open, 2 weeks ago, I made an ass of myself on the podcast and misogynistically took credit for one of Jessica's jokes as she just said it. And I felt like a jerk. No one really commented on it. I guess everyone either quietly unsubscribed or quietly was like, yeah, you go, Danny. I don't know. We got one comment about it. But then later in the week, Jessica was like, wait, we had like our first on-air sort of fight, sort of spat,
We
and
had
then
an
we
argument
disappear
and
for
then
a week.
disappear for a week. I'm like, oh no, people are going to think that that was way more serious than it was. It wasn't.
Yeah, it didn't have to do with that. But on that topic, we do have one voicemail. And I've been trying to catch up on these voicemails. And luckily, no one called up, except for this one person. No one called up in the last 2 weeks. So we can still catch up on our voicemails next week. But we'll
We
play
just keep
this.
pushing
I
it off. It keeps
know.
rolling over.
We'll just play this one.
Hey, Danny and Jess, this is Connor, new daddy. I suppose calling back. Just saying, well done, Jess. Well done. And shame on you, Danny. Shame on you. But also sorry that my silly, stupid nickname caused so much marital strife on the podcast. Anyway, thanks, Google Voice. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Yeah.
So
F you, Dan.
Well, so now can you put that all behind you, Jess?
Yep.
Can you put this whole thing, just can you let it go, please?
Done and done.
I'm trying to play misogynistic again.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Like I'm like blaming you, and you were actually just like, sure, done. I was giving you grief again, and this time you like totally didn't believe it. See, if I do it fake, then you're just like, yeah, whatever. But if I'm actually misogynistic, if I'm actually cruel, then you're like, fuck you.
Danny likes to play the fake misogynistic character a lot around our house, and so sometimes it's hard to tell when he is crossing the line and when it's legit and when it's not. So
I also do this character where it's like, it's basically someone who doesn't understand homosexuality, like just has no understand, like what? Who's just learning about it. So anytime we're watching a commercial or a movie or something, and it's like a gay couple, and I'm like, wait, I'm basically playing like an aunt, like your confused aunt whenever there's like a gay couple in a movie. I'm like, wait, I thought they were cousins.
yeah, it's like two women holding hands. He's like, oh, that's nice. Aren't they nice friends? It doesn't get old at all.
But deep down, see, when I joke that I'm a misogynist, deep down I really am a misogynist.
Yeah.
But when I joke that I'm a homophobe, I don't think I'm actually deep down a homophobe. I'm just joking around. Anyway, what does that have to do with Toto? Or
Okay.
what does that have to do with Machine Gun Kelly? That's
Oh,
the other
that's
big news
right.
from while we were gone.
Oh no, there were two big things kind of while we were away.
Oh, that's right. We'll talk about that one
Yeah.
as well. So the first, chronologically, Machine Gun Kelly's track Love Race came out. I think you can go hear it. We're not doing an episode on it right now, right? But basically, it interpolates, if that's the word, a melody from Be My Escape.
Man, if we did an episode on every song that Matt Thiessen has just like a writing credit on, we would be doing so many songs. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe when we get done with the Relient K discography, we'll move on to that.
I
We'll
feel
see.
I feel like we could probably just do like 1 or 2 episodes where we go over all the songs in a small, like almost like doing an album. Are You Talking REM Re-Me? That podcast with Scott Aukerman and Adam Scott, they did an episode where they just did a whole bunch of songs, random songs that Michael Stipe had appeared on. So we could
Gotcha.
basically do something like that. But yeah, it was in like all of a sudden we were getting tweets, at mentions and stuff saying like, oh, people asking us, did we notice? We got like 2 or 3 of our listeners saying, hey, did you notice who's credited on the new MGK song? And I was like, oh, cool. And I didn't even have a chance to listen to it, and people were then at mentioning, like, no, it just rips off Be My Escape. But it doesn't rip off Be My Escape, because what's that MGK song that's like, All I Know Is That I Don't Know Nothing? Do you know that? Because Jessica loves Tickets to My Downfall.
Yeah, it's just called All I Know.
Oh, is it? Okay. So, that hook, where he sings All I Know Is That I Don't Know Nothing, that's from one of, like, the biggest Operation Ivy songs. That's from, like, one of the top 3 Operation Ivy songs, and Tim Armstrong and maybe Jesse, what's his name? They're credited. They're credited as songwriters, so then you think, like, oh, did Tim Armstrong work with Machine Gun Kelly? He did not. Machine Gun Kelly was just like, I want to use the hook of this Operation Ivy song.
Sure.
So he basically paid for it. Tim Armstrong gets a writing credit.
Because he comes from like a rap background, and so
Right.
sampling is like really big,
exactly.
in that community.
And so I think that basically the same thing happened here, where I would love to hear eventually if Thiessen actually mentions it in an interview or whatever, to say how this came about. If he just heard, hey, through his publishing company, Machine Gun Kelly wants to license a portion of Be My Escape's melody for his new song, and he's like, sure, Machine Gun Kelly's big. Or did Thiessen actually have like a call or something, or work on in some way? I wouldn't think Matt Thiessen would quote unquote work on the song if he just comes in and is like, hey, remember one of my top 2 biggest songs from my band? Let's just reuse that. No, I think, like you said, because he's a rapper, and it's a type of sampling called interpolation. I might be pronouncing that wrong. Daniel can correct me. But it's what happens when you purposefully reference the music of another song, but you're not sampling, you're not using the recording. You're making a new song that purposefully uses melodies from another song or elements of another song. And this happens a lot, like songs get sued for sounding too much like other songs.
Right.
Like that Sam Smith song basically got sued for sounding like Won't Back Down by Tom Petty. And they settled that, and part of that was giving Tom Petty a writing credit after the fact.
And then there's Kookaburra Sits in the Old Gum Tree, which is just like 100% exactly the same. And
as that Men at Work song.
Yeah.
Down Under, which sits in the same place in my brain as the song we're talking about this week, Africa.
Same.
They're separate parts of the world,
same.
but they're both celebrating a continent.
Right.
In the 80s, there was a lot of celebration of exotic continents for this, like, yuppie music. Like, anyone, basically, American Psycho-esque people, minus maybe the murder, maybe. They loved listening to pop music that celebrated exotic continents.
Yeah.
Anyway, so songs get sued for basically accidentally ripping off other songs. I think it's more common now in sort of a post-sampling world where you either write a song and realize it sounds like another song that you weren't thinking of, and you just go and you pay for it ahead of time so you don't get sued, or you flat out say, I'm Machine Gun Kelly, I like that portion, I like the pre-chorus of Be My Escape, I just want to use that and write new lyrics. It's ripping off, what's that called? Oh my gosh, Be My Escape. Wait a second. What was that thing I found? Or is that Who I Am Hates Who I've Been? Remember, like, I found that, like, from 2005, and I jokingly said this is the beginning of emo rap, and it was somebody, something crew. Okay, I gotta look this up. You don't remember what I'm talking about at all? No. Don't you remember, like, it was Be My Escape or Who I Am Hates Who I've Been, and somebody just took the track and did new raps on top of it? You don't remember that at all?
No.
You don't remember that at all?
So sorry, I do not. I'm distracted because I'm thinking about how it's funny because we actually had a little bit of a tiff about this because I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't hear Be My Escape in it. And Danny was like, no, you got to hear it. How do you not hear it? And I was like, I don't know. I just don't hear it.
We had another fight off mic, but it wasn't a fight. It was just like, I was just surprised you didn't hear it.
I don't know what to
So
tell
many
ya.
people hear it though, because if you look at all the tweets the last week,
Sure, yeah.
everybody hears it. So what's your
Thanks,
problem?
Dan.
Everybody
Yeah,
hears
this
it.
is what happened.
It was Who I Am Hates Who I've Been. It was the Button Up Crew. This doesn't sound familiar at all. You were here for sure.
Are you sure? Are you sure that this isn't like whenever we have a celebrity come in to intro the podcast and you happen to always be in the bathroom when it happens, even when I text you to come out in time? Maybe just for this, I was not there during the cover section.
Maybe. Okay, no, let me correct. It was... No, it was not Button Up Gang. It was called Button Up Gang, and it was not Who I Am. It's Be My Escape. I don't go digging through notes for old episodes when we're supposed to be concentrating on Toto in Africa this week. But it was called the Button Up Gang, and it was sampling Be My Escape, and it sounded like this.
Button up. Rock style.
You don't remember this?
No.
We talked about it on the podcast. There must be something about Be My Escape
Man.
being sampled by rappers that it just goes in one ear and out the other
Yeah.
for you. Oh my gosh. Wait a second.
Oh, this sounds a little more familiar now that we've gotten into
Wait
it.
a gosh darn second.
MGK stole Button Up Gang's thing.
What the... I didn't put this together until we're on mic. This has already been done. This whole love race thing. Holy moly. I can't believe I'm just remembering this. But this guy 9 years ago, Button Up Gang on YouTube, was a rapper who took Be My Escape and rewrote new lyrics to it. We talk about it like a month ago, and then a month later, Machine Gun Kelly comes out with Love Race.
We should get him on the podcast, see how he feels.
This is kind of nutty. Like, this is really strange to me. Like, is Machine Gun Kelly actually listening to the show? And he's like, oh, that Button Up Gang thing, I could have done that way better. I'm gonna just rewrite Be My Escape, and I'm gonna do it with the guys from Sleeping with Sirens.
Maybe he's just perusing Relient K YouTube and
That's
found
my
Button
job.
Up Gang on his own. Sorry, Dan. I meant to tell you this before. You are being
Wow.
replaced with Machine Gun Kelly.
This is really, or because like I posted about it on social media. Like, this is just because we do our Be My Escape. I'm pontificating on this, but I just
really
find this. First of all,
With
because
the exception of that one time that Machine Gun Kelly came on the show to intro it, he has no idea this podcast exists.
well, I'm just saying. First of all, Button Up Gang was doing emo rap. I don't even know. I can't speak for this channel, especially this YouTube channel I'm talking about, Button Up Gang. I can't speak for them. I don't know. There are actually some problematic lyrics in the Be My Escape Button Up Gang video that we never talked about back then. But I'm just saying, they did an emo rap type thing where you do rap on top of like pop punk emo music 5 years before it supposedly the genre exists on SoundCloud. And then a couple weeks after
What if
that,
Button Up Gang is Machine Gun Kelly?
Whoa. Thanks for listening, everybody. I gotta go lay down. That's just mind-blowing right there. So anyway.
It didn't take off. He changed his name and he said, I'm just going to do the rap thing for now.
Wow. Well, I gotta, yeah, okay. I gotta start talking to everyone about this. This gotta be known. Machine Gun Kelly's ripping off the Button Up Gang. Okay. Anyway.
The other exciting news
is that John Schneck posted on his Twitter being in the 1981 offices with Matt Hoops, and they were practicing Sahara. I got it right. I didn't say Savannah.
It's good. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, so it's exciting stuff. They were meeting up, and then people noted that what looks like Teeson's guitar, and there's a keyboard there. There was a keyboard there no one was on, and Teeson's guitar appears to be on the couch in the background. So it seems like Relient K is sort of getting together. So it was the tweet seen around the Relient K world.
Exciting stuff.
After all this time.
We should take a week off more often because so much Relient K news happens.
Exactly. So I guess that's top of the show business. Let me just double check if I had any other notes.
Are we going to get into any more voicemails this week?
No, we'll do them next week.
Okay.
So we talked about the dust mites. We talked about the fight.
Did you
We talked about
actually have
Machine Gun
notes on
Kelly.
all these things?
Yeah, you got to remember. And we talked about Schneck rehearsing with Hoops in Tennessee. So this week we are talking about Africa from K is for Karaoke. I think this is the first K is for Karaoke track we have done in front of the paywall.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that earlier today.
So for those of you who don't kind of realize this, or we don't mention it enough, or you skip over our commercial breaks, K is for Karaoke is for the most part reserved for our Patreon, patreon.com/Sadie Hawkins.
Wait. We have a Patreon?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
we didn't we didn't upload anything in April, but for our patrons, we announced this on the Patreon specifically to make up for April because
We're really sorry.
because like nothing came. We had one episode in April, and that's it. We're supposed to do at least 2 episodes. That's our promise. We're gonna have one every week. We're gonna have 4 Patreon episodes in the month of April.
So if you want some extra content, sign up just for April, listen to the 4 new episodes and everything else, and then cancel your Patreon
Our dog,
subscription.
whose name is April, is not paying attention to the fact that we keep saying her name again and again.
She's snoring on the couch. If you're listening with headphones, you might get to hear it.
So most of the K's for Karaoke tracks, which that's a debate, as long as we're in front of the paywall, that we should get out of the way. Is the album called K is for Karaoke, or is the album called Is for Karaoke? Because it says Relient K is for karaoke.
Oh,
We always say K is for karaoke, but when you look at the spine, and you basically, when you look at the cover of the CD, the Volume 1 and Volume 2 K is for Karaoke collection, it's called Relient K is for Karaoke.
I did not realize that. I thought it was called K is for Karaoke.
But it's not called Relient KK is for Karaoke, because that would be for Animal Crossing. You get it?
Yeah, on Spotify, I just went to Spotify and it says is for karaoke as
Right.
the album name.
I'm going to keep saying K is for Karaoke because it just feels better to say than is for
does.
karaoke.
Yeah. And it's weird to say Relient K is for karaoke. Like, Relient K is
Right.
like, yeah, we love karaoke. We're for it.
Yeah. This is worse. It's kind of worse than as a thing to roll off the tongue. Like, I've gotten used to saying in conversation. Like, I can flow into it, but I can't in a conversation stop my brain and say is for karaoke.
Yeah. I think that we should go back and just can just be and this should be uppers. So we're gonna retcon that.
Yup to karaoke. So we on Patreon, we have already talked about Baby by Justin Bieber.
Which we've played over here.
Yes. You're the Inspiration by Chicago. We did The Distance by Cake, which we released like 75% of that episode for free. We've done Motorcycle Drive-By. Oh, and I was wrong. We did Dr. Worm in front of the paywall.
That's right.
With Greg from This Might Be a Podcast. So this is our second totally free K is for Karaoke episode.
Wait, did we release Baby here? Maybe we didn't. I might be wrong.
I'm not sure now. Who cares? And we've done Interstate Love Song by Stone Temple Pilots on Behind the Paywall. So go to our paywall, patreon.com/SadieHawkinspod to hear about the rest of this album. But we were like, we got to do Africa as a regular numbered free episode. We're also going to do Surf Wax America as a free episode. And then, well, wait, actually, maybe we want to do Everyone Wants to Rule the World, because that's kind of like a big Relient K song. We're going to do maybe 2 more. We'll figure it out. Let's not make any promises tonight.
I think I've talked about this before, but the CD itself, the art on the disc, it's supposed to be like the ramen noodles,
Right.
like on the cover art, but to me it looks like The Shining.
Right.
Or Honeycomb.
Yeah.
That's absolutely what it looks like. It's very deco.
Yeah. Jessica's voice is slowly giving out from all the dust mite coughing.
Sorry.
I know, I'm sorry. So
This is also why we couldn't do an episode last week, was because not only were we
Right.
running around trying to fix things, I just didn't have a
well,
voice.
she literally couldn't talk like 7 days ago. So yeah, we're talking about Africa by Relient K. I've lost it a bit. Let's reset. We're talking about Africa by Toto as covered by Relient K. So when we do a K's for Karaoke track, with the exception of...
We're so out of practice.
We're so
We
out of
take
practice.
one
It's been
week
too.
off.
Some people come back fresh. Some people like take a vacation. They come back to work or school, and they're like, "I'm ready to hit the books." I'm
Not
ready.
Sadie Hawkins pod.
Not Sadie Hawkins pod. We come back flustered, and we come back
so
uncertain.
rusty. What a great way to sell the Patreon. Don't you want more of this?
So, with the exception of Baby and Dr. Worm, which was earlier in like the history of this podcast, later on I figured, when we do K's for Karaoke tracks, we're just gonna steal the format of Punko's Pod, And first we talk about the original song, and then we talk about the Relient K cover. So that's what we're doing today.
Africa is a song by American rock band Toto, the 10th and final track on their 4th studio album, Toto 4, from 1982.
That is brazen to put your big hit at the end of your CD.
Yeah, it is.
That's really good because, like, so many CDs, like, there's, if you listen to, like, recent stuff with Reese Roper and Five Iron Frenzy, like when they've been on Magnified Pod, and Reese Roper has his own podcast now, the Pickle and Boot Shop. He talks about how, like, he likes to make sure prime numbers, like the prime numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, that those have the big songs.
Oh, nice.
And that's sort of true. I mean, I always, like, was obsessed with the fact that, like, number 7 tracks were always huge. The only one I could think of right now is Basket Case. That's probably the biggest number 7 track in my life. But
they wanted you to listen to all of side B.
yeah, that's the thing, is, like, when you put a hit, you know what it makes me think of? Impression That I Get by Mighty Mighty Boss Tones on the Let's Face It album. It's track number 4. That's their biggest song. It's track number 4 on that CD. I lost my first copy of that album, and I bought my second copy used. And, like, it had this thing that I had never seen before that I guess can happen to a CD, is that if you just over listen to one track too much, the laser can actually kind of, like, damage the CD. So whoever had owned my second copy of Let's Face It by the Boss Tones, whoever owned that copy, just listened to track 4 over and over and over, because when I popped it in, it could only play the first 3 songs. And then the CD would break. And I returned it to the record store and got a better copy. But that just kind of shows how, like, when you buy an album, your big hit, everyone's going to probably listen to everything up to that. So you're right. To put the big hit at the end of the CD is a major baller move, because it's like, hey, people are going to skip to the end, but especially in the days of, like, tapes and stuff.
Yeah, because 82, that would have been a big, like, there's either selling vinyls or cassettes, and it's easier to find your track on a vinyl than it is on a cassette.
Yeah.
So it was released as a single through Columbia Records on October 30th, 1982. The album's 3rd single overall and 2nd in Europe. So it sounds like maybe they weren't even anticipating this to be a massive single, since it was their 3rd single overall off this album.
Right.
The song was written by band members David Page and Jeff Paracro, produced by the band, and mixed by Grammy-winning engineer Elliot Shiner. And then on the Wikipedia, it shows the single... It shows the US 7-inch picture disc single, and wow, there's just so much going on. Danny has one of these where it's shaped kind of like part of the earth or like ocean, and then the continent of Africa.
As long as there's just enough, circumference in the middle to hold the song on the record, the outside of the record can be shaped like anything. I have a John Linnell solo from They Might Be Giants. One of his solo 7-inch is shaped like America.
Yeah.
And I had a Green Day Brain Stew single. I think I've talked about this on the podcast one other time, and I don't own it anymore, and I've wanted to replace it. But there was a Brain Stew CD single that was shaped like a brain, and it came with a special notice that said, do not put this in a front-feeding CD player.
Yeah.
Because if it's not round, it'll get caught in the thing. You had to put it in one that opens up on the top with a spindle in the middle.
There was a Disney CD-ROM that came in, like, cereal that was a mini one that was like, you have to be careful what kind of tray you put this in. Right.
And the mini discs did exist. They weren't used a lot. But if you look at any tray-feeding DVD or CD player, there's a shape in the center for smaller discs. They just never took off. There's an anime DVD I have called Metropolis. It's not like the silent film, but it purposely took its name from that. And it had the special features came on a mini DVD. And so it was the only mini DVD I ever owned. So tell us more about Africa by Toto.
Critics praised its composition and Toto's performances. The song reached #1 on the United States Billboard Hot 100 chart, the band's only Billboard #1, and #1 on the Canadian charts. It also peaked in the top 10 in the United Kingdom, Ireland, Netherlands, New Zealand, and Switzerland. The song was accompanied by a music video which premiered in 1983 and was directed by Steve Barron, who collaborated previously with the group for Rosanna. The video features Toto in a library as they perform and showcase various aspects of African culture. While popular in the 1980s and 1990s, with the song being certified gold by the RIAA in 1991, Africa saw a reemergence in popularity via social media during the mid to late 2010s, including fan-requested cover by American rock band Weezer, which peaked at number 51 on the Billboard Hot 100. It has since been certified 5 times platinum.
Such a shame.
Yeah.
Such a
Relient K's
shame.
cover of Africa, so much better.
Massively better.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a shame that because I remember the Weezer campaign and kind of being swept up in the fun of it when it was happening, especially as it was getting close. Because I only learned about the Weezer Twitter campaign for them to cover Africa about a month before it finally happened. Maybe 3 weeks. It happened pretty quickly after I learned about it. And it was building steam. It was getting, I don't know, tens of thousands of retweets or whatever, thousands of retweets.
Is Africa one of their heart songs?
I don't know. That's a good question. Heart songs, the Weezer version of That's My Jam by Relient K.
Oof.
So, yeah, but I took the Relient K Africa cover, which is undeniably superior in every way to the Weezer version.
100%.
I took it and I made a fake leaked YouTube video of Weezer cover, Weezer Africa cover leaked.
Did.
And I put it on YouTube, and it basically, hearkening back to those days of Napster and LimeWire
Right.
and Kazaa, but of mislabeled MP3s and doing that on purpose, but it didn't take off. I eventually ended up deleting it because I'm like, well, the joke is literally over.
Right.
And it's especially over with how much the Weezer cover sucks. And I'm sure a lot of people like it, but the Relient K one is just so much better.
It is, and you hear the Weezer cover on the radio and when you're just out and about at the mall or whatever, and it's so overly processed. The vocals don't really work for the song. It's
kind of funny how, at least for now, I feel like the original Toto version will far outlast the Weezer version. You'll probably still hear the Weezer version for maybe, what do I know? I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm just guessing that maybe you'll still hear the Weezer version 5, 8, 10 years from now. But eventually, 20 years from now, you won't really hear the Weezer version, but you'll hear the Toto version still, because the Toto version is a classic pop song with endless potential for future generations. But it's funny that right now these covers kind of live side by side on the radio. You hear Africa by Toto on the radio about as much as you hear the Weezer cover.
Yeah.
And the only other example of that I can specifically think of is Boys of Summer. You definitely hear the real version, is it Don Henley?
Yeah. It is.
You hear that probably more than the Atari's version, but you still hear the Atari's version on the radio.
Sure.
That's the only other thing like that where the cover and the original can kind of live harmoniously in the zeitgeist, and it's not that one takes over the other necessarily. But we're not talking about Relient K yet.
So I also pulled up over on Quora?
Yeah, I've seen that.
So Kathy Benson responded to the question of what was the meaning of the lyrics to the song Africa. And so Kathy Benson responded a year ago, Africa by Toto has a great story. David Page from the band watched a documentary in the early 80s about the suffering and deaths of people in Africa. It affected him so much that he ended up writing a song about it. He had never been there, but he tried to imagine what it would be like to live there based on what he had seen on TV or heard from stories. The lyrics speak about a man who already lives in Africa and is waiting for his girl to visit. She's coming in 12:30 flight. However, as much as he loves the girl, he doesn't want to leave the place, and so he is faced with a dilemma. It's going to It's going to take a lot to drag me away from you. The lyrics speak of some experiences one can have in Africa, like, I hear the drums echoing tonight and the wild dogs cry out in the night. But I feel like the guy in the song just wants to spend time alone in Africa and experience everything he can. I believe this is connected with the lyrics about the wild dogs, as they grow restless, longing for some solitary company, meaning just as they want to be alone, so does he. This is complemented by the lyric, I seek to cure what's deep inside, frightened of this thing that I've become, which I believe means that he, as well, cannot believe that he is ready to leave his girl just to stay in Africa and experience life there. Finally, the lyrics justify that wish of his to stay there by singing, gonna take some time to do the things we never had, meaning that there are many things he wants to do in Africa that he cannot find anywhere else. However, the song doesn't say in the end what he chose to do. What do you think? Smiley face.
What would you do, Jessica? Would you leave me to go live in Africa?
Maybe. It's a big place, lots of things to explore there. It's the world's second largest continent.
Right. So
lots of different ecosystems.
Right. And that's the thing about like this song and also probably the next biggest song out of the 80s, out of like yuppie pop music culture to sing about Africa was the Do They Know It's Christmas Time at All?
I swear, my mom loves Christmas music. I swear it's the only Christmas song that comes on the radio that she turns off. She hates that song because she's like, this song is ridiculous because Africa is a huge continent and a lot of it has like tropical, like rainforest kind of ecosystems, but there are also like very high mountain peaks which do get snowy. It has it spans all the way to subarctic temperatures and an ecosystem of that sort. So I don't know if you have any specific resources on this, but you hinted at it. When it comes to possibly problematic depictions in the song Africa by Toto, or whatever, like, problematic takes or closed-minded takes on Africa, it's possible. I'm sure it's a debate. I'm sure it can be dissected. But the Do They Know It's Christmas Time at All flat out is like racist. Maybe pretty much borderline. It's an awful song. It's an awful
because it
song.
Really it's that entertainment thing, the entertainment industry
gross.
thing of we're doing something to unite everyone, but it's actually gross and it comes off wrong. Like
it's just a bunch of rich white people being douchey.
Like celebrities putting out videos of stay at home here in my rich mansion in my backyard with my roller coaster or whatever, and I'm gonna sing Beatles songs and you should stay home in your 1-bedroom apartment with your 6 roommates or whatever, you know what I mean? But it's worse than that because they're actually taking a whole section of the world and boiling it down to an incorrect stereotype. You know what I mean? Yeah, the way people look at Africa, like movies. Like when you look at a movie, and if like an alien invasion movie, like Independence Day, or a similar movie where there's some global threat, and if they cut to Africa, it's always like tribesmen in a field. It's never like actually like the urban centers or the capitals of the different countries. People often forget that Africa is not a country; it's a continent.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I certainly don't know well enough. I just know I just know, you know what I mean? I just know it's not to be looked at and talked about in that way. And I should certainly educate myself more on these things. I mean, specifically in this, it seems like Jessica does have something to read about this, but I guess in Toto's song, it is like, he hears the wild dogs echo in the night, and that implies wilderness and stuff. That doesn't imply that he's in a city. And I guess everyone can kind of wrap their mind around South Africa, right? And the fact that that's like an urban section of Africa, but there's still urban and settled sections of every country in the continent.
Yeah, and there is, I mean, as far as like wanting to bring maybe climate change awareness to Africa, Africa definitely is a continent that is, I think I read somewhere once that it is the second driest continent on the earth. So yes, they have, and probably I'm sure since the 80s, had a lot of issues with water. and things like
Right.
that. And, there's definitely parts of Africa that just don't have water and are really hurting for water. But to be like, do they know it's Christmas time at all? Because they don't have snow. Maybe not the right way to go about bringing that sort of awareness.
And it's not like Christianity isn't in Africa. It's not like it's up to Bono and whoever, and Cyndi Lauper and whoever else was in that song to bring Christianity to Africa. Like, yeah, they know it's Christmas. They have the Bible.
So we're going to find out in just a second if Kathy Benson was right or not.
I know Christmas isn't in the Bible. Sorry.
I probably should have just skipped to this. For some reason, Kiwara or whatever it is came up first, but this is from smoothradio.com, The Story of Africa by Toto. Toto's 1982 smash Africa is without a doubt one of the greatest songs of all time, let alone in the 1980s. It's almost impossible to not burst into song at the top of your lungs as soon as you hear that famous catchy intro. And that chorus, I bless the rains down in Africa, incredible. But did you know that it's fascinating backstory? What is the song actually about? Who wrote it? How was it made? Find out all you need to know about this iconic tune right here. Who wrote Africa? Africa was written by Toto members David Page and Jeff Perocco.
Oh, we know. I don't mean to you.
And it ended up on the band's 1982 album, Toto 4. The initial concept and lyrics for the song came from David Page. Page was playing around with his new keyboard, the CS80, and found the brassy sound that became the song's famous opening riff. He finished the melody and lyrics for the chorus in just 10 minutes, much to his surprise. I sang the chorus out as you hear it. It was like God channeling it. I thought, I'm talented, but I'm not that talented. Something just happened there. Page then spent about 6 months refining the lyrics before showing the song to the rest of the band. In 2015, David Page said that the song is about a man's love of the continent of Africa rather than a personal romance. He based the lyrics around a late-night documentary with depictions of African plight and suffering. It had a lasting impact on him. It both moved and appalled me, and the pictures just wouldn't leave my head. I tried to imagine how I'd feel about it if I was there and what I'd do. Jeff Perocco added, a white boy is trying to write a song on Africa, but since he's never been there, he can only tell what he's seen on TV or remembers in the past. Further lyrics about a person flying in to meet a lonely missionary, as Page explained in 2018. As a child, he attended a Catholic school, and several of his teachers had done missionary work in Africa. At the time, Page had never set foot in Africa and based the song's landscape descriptions from an article in National Geographic. It almost didn't make the album at all. Steve Perocco and Steve Lukather once described the song as dumb and an experiment, and that some of the lyrics were goofy. Particularly the line about the Serengeti. Steve Perocco said it was the last song they recorded and it barely made the cut for the album. So that makes sense why it's at the very end.
They were trying to bury it.
At one stage, Jeff Perocco considered saving Africa for a solo album as other members didn't think it sounded like a Toto song. At the time, the band...
And it kind of doesn't, because we haven't talked about Toto as a band, but they're just like a straight-ahead sort of rock band. This is not a rock song in the traditional sense.
At the time, the band were more focused on the album's lead single, Rosanna.
Right. It's kind of funny how the basis of this song is kind of like the original slacktivism, but in the 80s, or the early 80s, late 70s... if you even wanted to be a slacktivist, someone who just watches some documentaries and gets worked up about it, you still, like, write a song that kind of unites the world in this idea. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure this song has done some good for people, aside from the fact that it's just such, like, a soul-rousing song, and people love this song, and it probably just, the happiness it brings to people just on a musical basis. But I'm sure the song lyrically has inspired people out there to move to Africa, to work in Africa, or to give to it.
Yeah, sure.
So, I mean, unlike, say, Do They Know It's Christmas, where it was like specifically a fundraiser song, and I'm sure it did a ton of good as well, but it's just like you look back and you just like, what were they thinking?
Like so many things from the past.
Yeah. So, Toto...
But now I just want to say
Yeah.
that it does make sense now if it's about a missionary about the blessing the rains. It's like, oh, okay,
Right,
so it's
okay.
maybe like, a missionary comes in and is praying for rainfall, is praying, to bring, much needed water.
And maybe that's why they're in a more impoverished area and there's wild dogs
Right.
echoing in the night.
Yeah.
That's why he's not in a city in Africa. I love, did I ever make you watch Who Killed Captain Alex? Ugandan film. It's that like insane action film. Ugandan cinema, Wakaliwood, amazing. I don't know how much more to say about it. It literally can't be explained. Certainly not in this form
They
of our
have
podcast.
like a VJ hyping the movie as it plays out in front
It's
of you
amazing, yeah.
and kind of explaining what's going on.
It's the equivalent of silent films had music played by a live person in the theater. It's basically the same sort of thing. They're just like micro budget, like basically no budget, and they admit it. Like they have the cameras and the equipment that they have, and people now travel from all over the world to like help him out with these movies because they believe in them. And there are these like just insane action extravaganzas that he's learning to do as he does them.
It's
and
quite
just
a-
so
it-
much.
it's quite a
like,
watch.
Yeah, it's so much like just art. It really is art. And last thing to say on it, just specifically because Jessica and I, as movie buffs, we don't believe in the idea of a quote unquote bad movie if it's someone's pure vision. And this is that person's pure vision. I'm sure a lot of people would watch it and be like, oh my gosh, this is horrible, but it's not horrible. It's like a pure personal vision, actually. They got up every day, did it. It's amazing. Anyway.
It's only bad if someone put their soul into it and it didn't turn out the way they wanted.
Right. Or it's bad if they just did it for money or meaningless. You just
And they didn't put any soul into it
Right.
at all.
So Toto. How do you feel about the band Toto? I think it's the last part of this section that we'll do. Just talk about the band Toto overall.
I really only know the hits for Toto.
Me too.
And I only have, aside from our one shared Toto story, I only have one other tidbit of information, and that is that for a short period of time, the lead guitarist, or maybe it wasn't even a short period of time, but the lead guitarist used to be married to Marie Curie, who is Cherie Curie's sister, who is the lead singer of the Runaways.
Ah. I thought Marie Curie was the person who like died of radiation because they...
That's Marie Curie.
Oh, okay.
Close.
He's not that old. It's the guy from Toto.
No. And I think that they were married around like, I feel like I remember reading that it was like around 82 or something. Cherie Curie's autobiography, Neon Angels on the Road to Ruin, is a really great read if you're interested in the Runaways or just in sort of that like 70s girl rock punk kind of culture. It's a great read.
Gotcha. Our one shared Toto experience was being in my car in like 2008 or 9, listening to satellite radio where they would and this is before he died, but they would replay old Casey Kasem top 40 shows from past years. So this would have been like 82 or something like that. Or did they? I can't remember if he played, if it was Africa or Rosanna. I think it might have been Rosanna was on the top 40 in the show we were listening to.
Yeah, so it was probably 82 or 83.
And it's this long lead-in by Casey Kasem talking about the history of Wizard of Oz. Just going on and on and on about Wizard of Oz, and we have no idea what's going on. We're like, why is this still happening? And we can't do anything about it. It happened. We cannot do anything. It happened 25 years ago.
We're sitting there going, like, completely fascinated because this story is taking so long. There's so much buildup, and we're like, was there like a theatrical re-release at this time? And like Somewhere Over the Rainbow was big. We were like, I don't think that ukulele cover that like made the charts has come out yet. So we were like, what is this leading up to?
And then finally, after what feels like 5 minutes of him talking about the history of Wizard of Oz, he mentions, and of course, the name of the little dog in that movie was Toto. But around here, Toto means the song Rosanna or Africa.
It was Africa. It was definitely Africa.
Toto means Africa.
Yeah.
Here's Africa, number 2 on our countdown. And I'm like, holy moly. Because they're like, as long as it took for him in the build-up, the punchline was instantaneous. And they just kind of... I'm like, did someone, like, pour a coffee on the chords or something, and they couldn't get, like, the record player working, and so he was, like, vamping?
Yeah.
And then my only other specific Toto thought in my life was I saw They Might Be Giants during the Mink Car tour, and OK Go opened for them. Oh. And this is before OK Go. This is before YouTube existed. Literally before YouTube existed, because this is 2001 or 2002 maybe. Before OK Go is known for those wild videos that they make nowadays. And they're just... OK Go just seems like a cool rock band I've never heard of. You know what I mean? And I bought like a 3-song CD. I don't even know if they had a full length on a major label at the time that I saw this tour. And they had like this long thing where they were like trying to get... They must not have had enough songs because they were like taking requests for covers. Like, but they were doing it in like a really cool way and being a very professional band with a lot of stage presence. And then they ended the set by playing Hold the Line. And I was like, this is cool. And I was like, I guess I know this song. Who's this by? And like, I was so captivated by their stage presence and the way that they were able to fill a whole set with apparently not a ton of songs, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how many albums they would have had in 2001 or demos, or I'm not a big OK Go fan, so I don't know. But I was just so captivated by their stage presence that night that I went home and I downloaded OK Go albums eventually and was like, this is okay. But I downloaded Hold the Line by Toto, and it's one of those songs that I had on my desktop forever and would constantly play once in a while.
It's a great song.
Yeah. So with that, we will go to our break, and when we come back, we will talk about the Relient K is for Karaoke version.
If you enjoy Sadie Hawkins Pod, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and interact with the show by calling our voicemail line 402-95-SADIE.
You can send an email to sadiehawkinspod@gmail.com and visit our Instagram and Twitter, which are both at sadiehawkinspod.
You can also visit sadiehawkinspod.com for the link to our TeePublic store for shirts, mugs, and stickers, including 2 brand new designs. Following in the history of all of Relient K's logo parody merch, we have a Chick-fil-A parody design.
And to prove to everyone that we are in fact the most punk rock podcast, we have a new Black Flag logo parody. You know, something that's original and that we could really call our own for once.
We also want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/sadiehawkinspod.
There's JR, Jarrett, Eric, Joel, Connor, Michael, Helen, Samantha, Roxanne, Jimmy Eat Pod, This Might Be a Podcast, Tucker, David, and Brady. You can sign up at our Patreon for bonus episodes, which include us reviewing the songs from K is for Karaoke and reading through the Complex Infrastructure book.
Ooh.
Treat yourself right in 2021 with Sadie Hawkins Pod, the door to a happy, healthy life. So before we get into the Relient K cover, one thing we usually do on K is for Karaoke tracks behind the paywall is watch the original video. You described it. There's actually not as much visually going on in this video. It really is just them kind of in like an adventurer's club or like some sort of like den. It doesn't hint at missionary at all. It basically makes it seem like they're hunters or something.
Sure.
There's not... It's the same visual aesthetic film style as like the You're the Inspiration video.
Okay.
This is a couple years before that. But again, it's just one location, not as visually varied. So we're not going to watch the whole video. But there's just one moment I wrote down that I want to get your reaction. Ready? So this is 3 minutes and 58 seconds into the 4.5-minute video. We start this image on a stuffed lion head. So some paper or something is burning.
Some broken glasses.
I don't know what's that an image of? It's
the lead singer sitting on a giant book or folded map that says Africa.
Yeah. It's like the most oddly whimsical shot in an otherwise pretty grounded video where it's just them around this, they're just in some sort of like study. They're in some sort of study going over papers and artifacts from Africa, and they're singing through library stacks, and the books are lighting on fire for reasons, and they're playing their instruments and they're having close-ups, but then for some reason he's just sitting on top of a giant book. There he is.
Yeah, interesting. So, wow. Fantastic.
So, there's that. There's multiple shots of the giant book.
It's no airplanes. I love planes, jet aircrafts, but
we talked about it
good stuff
on our Jefferson and Aeroplane episode, but yeah. Airplanes by the band Jefferson Airplane. I think that band's last music video, it was like 1990. Go check that video out. It is an amazing music video. So, Relient K's cover, superior to the Weezer cover in every way, came out 10 years before, or no, not quite 10 years, 8 years, something like that. This is 2011, Relient K, and then what was Weezer's, like 2018, so 7 years before. This song has a special meaning to my life as it is today, because somebody made a meme many years ago. We had moved to Los Angeles, so it's within the last several years. And I guess Hoops was more active on the Relient K Twitter at the time. And I wasn't even like actively combing Relient K Twitter all the time like we do now. But somebody made a meme where it's the distracted boyfriend, or the distracted boyfriend, and his girlfriend is Toto's Africa. Weezer's didn't even exist yet. Toto's Africa is his girlfriend, and the girl he's turning to look at is Relient K's Toto. Jeez, sorry, Relient K's Africa. Still rusty. You think after 2-week break and the commercial break we just took? Nope. Anyway, that meme partially inspired me to create MXPX memes.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Because I feel like it was one of the first very specific... Maybe this was like 5 years ago that, Hoops retweeted this from the official Relient K account. And it was one of the first times I'd seen like a meme that was that esoterically connected to music I specifically liked. So my brain started going, and I'd always tried to like have Tumblr meme accounts that never worked out.
Right.
Like I didn't know how to do them basically. And I was like, wait, Twitter, meme account on Twitter. And then I started thinking, what band am I going to do? And it took me a little bit, but I settled on MXPX because I thought it was a ripe land that no one had yet taken over. Anyway.
Yeah. So the Relient K version is great. Yeah. And I don't know if there's more than just keyboard doing sort of the fun, iconic sounds in this. I know that It said in that article that it's definitely that intro is a keyboard, in fact, a keyboard. And so when I looked to see if there was any other instrumentation noted, played by any of the members, it did not say. It just says Matthew Thiessen, vocals, keys, and trumpet, Matthew Hoops, guitar, vocals, and trumpet, John Warren, bass and vocals, Ethan Luck, drums and vocals, John Schneck, guitar and vocals, Mark Lee Townsend, guitar and vocals, and Justin York, guitar.
Yeah. I'm listening to this, so... You know what's funny is that... So...
Yeah, I guess that's just all keyboard.
Yeah. Or maybe it's some sort of programming. I didn't think to ask Schneck ahead of time. He's busy right now, though, so who knows if he would have answered.
Yeah.
Busy working on the new Relient K album. Did you hear?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
I don't know. Oh, so when we talk about K's for Karaoke tracks on Patreon... We are like...
Say Patreon one more time, Danny.
Patreon. Patreon.com/Sadie Hawkinspot. When we talk about K's for Karaoke tracks over there, we are slowly starting to basically divvy out K's for Karaoke into two fields. One is they did the song exactly as it is on paper, and does that work? Or they did the song exactly as it is on paper, and does it not work? And for me... This goes along. So what are some of the examples of that? Like, and Girls Just Want to Have Fun and Baby are not a part of that because those are transformed covers.
Right.
Like, they actually transform those songs. But every other cover, like Karaoke, it's like they took the almost the exact tempo, like the exact instrumentation, but maybe they change up the guitar tones and the program, whatever. Anyway, so for us, like, Cake wasn't successful, the Distance cover. It was just like we'd rather listen to the real cover, to the real version. You're the Inspiration, as it is on this album, we didn't like relying. It didn't feel successful to us. I'm spoiling what's behind the paywall for you people.
Danny.
Interstate Love Song, again, we were like, just, if you're gonna listen, it was like, it's the exact same song, that's cool. Motorcycle Drive-By was one where it was like totally, yes, like they captured the emotion of the original
really
song.
good.
And I guess that's all we've done so far. So this goes along with and Dr. Worm, where they capture the fun of the original, and maybe you'd want to listen to the They Might Be Giants version instead, but still they captured some of the spirit properly. So this, for me, Africa, Motorcycle Drive-By, and Dr. Worm are in the successfully recreated the song exactly as it is on paper column. How about you?
What are we doing? What was the question?
Sorry. Do you
You
think
throw me off because
I have these scattershot ways of dancing around a point and never quite getting there? That's just me, folks.
it really is. There are these things that we like to call Danny stories, where like Danny will be like, you think that he is leading up to a punchline and he never gets there, and you're like, wait, the story's over, it's done. Yeah, that's a Danny story. And you also throw me because I'm not a fan of the shameless self-promotion, so
It's our show. It's not shameless. It's not like I'm going out in front of people and saying, hey, go to patreon.com, go to patreon.com.
Darn it.
This is our show. That's the point. We want people to join at patreon.com/Sadie Hawkinspot.
I would say that I do enjoy the Relient K version as much as the original version.
Right, and that's the minimum that you need.
Yeah, they're
for each of
very
these tracks.
interchangeable for me. Like, I could pick up and listen to either one if I wanted to listen to this song.
Right.
For sure, which is not something that happens a lot on this album. There's not a lot of tracks on here where I'm like, if I'm in the mood to listen to the original version, where I feel like I could easily switch it out. So yeah, definitely a huge success with this one.
So for me, it's like, out of the songs we've picked over, You're the Inspiration, I'd rather listen to Chicago. The Distance, I'd rather listen to Cake. Motorcycle Drive-By, I would rather listen to Relient K, pretty much. I mean, the original is great and all, but that's one case where Relient K just polished the edges perfectly.
Agreed.
And made it an even slightly more beautiful song than the original. Dr. Worm,
David
I'd rather
Park's
listen...
going to call us up. It's going to take issue.
Well, he said they nailed it in the voicemail he sent us. Dr. Worm, I'd rather listen to the They Might Be Giants version, but the Relient K version is still cool. Interstate Love Song, it's not even my favorite Stone Temple Pilots.
You know what?
So
that was one where I disagreed with you, and I preferred the Relient K version of Dr. Worm, but that is just because I'm not a
big fan of Linnell's voice.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a lot to say about
this.
No,
it's a cover song, and we come up with this when we do Case for Karaoke songs behind the paywall, which I won't plug again, but we don't always have a ton to say about the Relient K version specifically.
Right. I feel bad too, because I feel like, and we've done this before, where we have these like couple episode bouts where we happen to pick songs that we don't have a lot to say specifically about like the lyrics or the music, and so then I feel bad because I feel like we're slacking off and not doing our jobs.
I think we're doing fine. So this is a song that Relient K has played a ton.
Yeah.
They have played this song. They played this song a lot. And it's not even in the same... So, like, for instance, we know that Manic Monday was never really... We're pretty sure Manic Monday was never played live. It's not on set list. And Schneck told us he remembers doing it at sound checks, but never live. So, never quite done live. You're the Inspiration is a song that the band did back with... When they were a quartet. Back with Brian and Dave in the band, and Steven even in the band. But then, like, they retired it for a long time and came back, and instead of doing their punky, Thiessen with no pick in his hand version, instead of doing that version, they went ahead and just did a straight ahead off of the sheet music version for this album. Then The Distance they did a lot, and I just said that You're the Inspiration. Most of the Drive-By they did at least a handful of times, because there are a bunch of YouTube versions of that. But and Surf Wax America they did right around when Ethan first joined the band. But Africa, they played this a ton. There are so many YouTube videos of Relient K playing this song. They pretty much played it for the next several years after this, before, like a year or so leading up to this album, and then for a couple years after this album.
It is a fun song. It is a song that transcends generations, that definitely has had like an uptick in popularity over the internet. And so, you have younger people who can also sing along with it. So yeah, it's a great tune.
So
unlike Surf Wax America, where myself and the other young folks in the crowd did not know it, and Danny was like, Danny knew it.
Well, even Thiessen on stage passive-aggressively said to the audience, we picked this song because we all thought everyone could sing along, but it hasn't been working out. And I'm like, oh my god, that's so sad. Like, Thiessen had this like transparent moment to the audience where he's like, he didn't say, you guys don't know this song and I'm disappointed, but he basically said that.
Should have picked
It was an
Hash
amazing
Pipe.
moment. Should have picked Hash Pipe. So when we didn't have an episode last week, Daniel tweeted at us and said, should have asked for him and Brady to host a stand-in episode for us.
We really should have.
That would have been amazing. And they
Yeah.
actually tried to make it work, but they just couldn't line it up. But
Next time we want to take a break, we absolutely will coordinate that ahead of time, because I really want to listen to that episode.
It's like how Kanye West is like, I can never see Kanye West live or whatever. That you ever heard him? There's like a famous quote where he's like, I feel bad because I can never see Kanye West live. So do you feel bad because you can never hear a Sadie Hawkins pod for the first time? You always got to be in it.
No, I hear it all the time when I edit it, and I now never listen back to the episodes, even if I'm not the one editing them. I'm perfectly okay with that.
So anyway, Daniel did start to do some research before it didn't work out, and he got me 2 links. This is Six Flags Georgia on.
Nice.
He gives more detail than I would normally give. On August 7th, 2010, he wrote, "No hoops," and there's no hoops on the stage. "Must be Justin York filling in. Standard tuning. Warren's bass slung high. Warren not singing the chorus. Seems like not really Thiessen either." And I don't know what he means by that. I guess he just meant Thiessen seems a little off, because it is Thiessen, but although the camera's far away. So here is that performance from 10 years ago.
Yeah, that is some Beatles level of high bass that Warren's
It's so
got
high.
going
Is
there.
it Warren as well? I guess it is. It's got the Warren dome on his head, so I think it's him. But he's got it so high. Maybe just for this song. I mean, I've never thought of how complex Relient K bass work is, but I wonder if just there's more specific complexity in this song, and he just has to have it up higher in order to pull it off or something. It's just easier.
I don't know, but I love that demo Relient K bass, because man, is that stuff easy to play for a beginner.
And last one here. I'm just breezing through these, sort of out of our usual format. But Daniel also wrote acoustic version. December 2nd, 2010
Wait a minute.
in STL,
Did
St. Louis.
Did Daniel do your job for you this week? Because I feel like I should have reached out to Brady and asked him to do my deep dive. What was I doing?
Daniel got me these 2 clips, and then I felt confident not to need to look through every. I looked that they
man.
existed, but I was like, well, I think Daniel got the 2 best sounding clips. I watched a couple other random live clips, and they all sounded horrible. Shot
Brady,
on bad phones.
WTF? Why are you slacking off? Why didn't you send me deep dive notes?
Well, anyway, here is this live acoustic performance in St. Louis. And this is definitely the band as well, because you can see Ethan and Schneck and Warren. And again, no Hoops. So 2010, I guess, was Hoops taking all that time off we've heard about.
Right, sure as Kilimanjaro rises like Olympus above the Serengeti. I seek to cure what's deep inside, frightened of this thing that I've become. Gonna take a lot, train away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more can ever do.
It's like they're playing in a jazz club. I love this beautiful red curtain behind them.
Sorry, I missed what you just said, because I was loving that Schneck kind of accidentally. I don't know if it's accident actually, but he was basically singing the chorus. Like Schneck was drowning out Thiessen for that chorus just now.
Nice. Oh yeah.
So that was Schneck at first saying it's gonna take a lot to. I don't know the words. Oh my gosh. I literally just heard them, and
Listen, this is the quality that everyone has come to expect from Sadie Hawkins Pod.
it's gonna take a lot to drag me up to the microphone to keep doing this, and collect my thoughts. It's been a week, all right, and I'm having fun, and that's all that matters. Like a Ugandan action film, all that matters is that we have fun and we're ourselves. Then we're going out of order. We're doing my stuff now.
I keep waiting. I'm like, oh wait, when do
You know
I
what?
go?
Forget it. Now you go, and then we'll get back to fan videos. So that's it. But that's it. Thank you, Daniel. That's it for official Relient K videos performances.
So I found this article, it's called 42 Very Different Covers of Africa. This is a popular song to cover.
Oh, yeah. I don't think we're going to get to them, but I did save a couple other covers that I was interested in. Just so I typed in punk. And I found 4 different metal covers by different metal bands.
Nice.
Popular song for metal bands to cover.
Nice.
I also have a Ska 2 Network version, which is cool,
All
but I
right.
just don't think we'll have time for it today. But, so, what's this?
We have TikToks this week. We have 3 TikToks.
Oh, that's right, because TikToks were suddenly removed. Relient K was suddenly removed from TikTok out of nowhere after Be My Escape. We talked about it, but K is for Karaoke and for Getting Not Slow Down, we're not.
So the first one is a truck with its windshield wipers on because it's raining. And it says, say hi to Snoopy. Hashtag K2500, hashtag Turbo Diesel, hashtag Detroit Diesel, hashtag 65 Turbo Diesel, hashtag 65, hashtag Snoopy. So somebody got a new truck and it's raining and this is what they picked. Then over here we've got first try right at it went too fast. Oh my gosh, so much happening.
What?
I don't know what is going on. Okay, hold on.
They're just fading on a bunch of images of their phone.
Okay.
Like, is this what they were doing on their phone all day?
Okay. Is there a pause on TikTok? So it says today's challenge. Wait. Well, one of them says today's challenge winner is Maddie, and then Maddie giveaway number 4. And then
No
these are all
content,
like
I would just
Instagram things.
It's like a bunch of pages from their phone for
They're
the
all
day.
different. Cade and then
Like, did they just
things
record what they
spinning
did on the
around.
phone for the day and then just kind of like threw it into iMovie and cut it up a little and then put it on TikTok? Or does TikTok have a video editor built in? I have no idea.
This is from @RedeemerStudents. It says week 1 recap. #RedeemerStupids. #RedeemerStudents. #we love you all.
Heavenly farts. Heavenly Father, you are in our hearts. I found this video where it's a preacher and he's like, let's pray. Heavenly farts. Heavenly Father, you're in our hearts. It was...
It's the S. I mean, it's just, that's the best part. That's what gets me every time. And then finally, we have a cat laying on the ground,
Aww.
looking up. It says, let's have a sit, and they're watching a nature... This one's the most appropriate, because they're watching a nature documentary.
Yeah,
I'm
Derek-
assuming on Africa. Oh, I think there's something upsetting happens in this, actually.
Derek _Hugh, HOUGH.
#Moochie, #for
It's
you
like
page,
gazelles. Oh, the gazelle was born.
Day,
It just fell out of its mother.
Patagonia, #Morgan Wallen.
I don't. Yeah, nothing died in that footage.
Oh, good.
A gazelle. I think that whatever kind of animals these are, it's born. It just.
Oh, wow.
It
Yep.
just fell out.
I'm laughing because they wrote, what the f*** has that happened? Because the cat is watching very intently. So, thank you, TikTok. Then we have a teaser video for K is for Karaoke.
Right. So we've done like 6 tracks from this CD, and I hadn't ever found this before. But when K is for Karaoke was coming out, people must remember this if you were following the band at the time. They came out with 2 YouTube videos where it's who's not in it? Is it Hoops that's not there? No, Hoops is there.
Warren isn't there.
Warren isn't there. It's Ethan, Matt, and Schneck, and they're talking. In one video, they're talking by a pool. They've got their legs in the pool, and in another one, they're like on like a stoop or a porch.
Yeah.
And they're just talking about the songs you can expect on their upcoming CD, K is for Karaoke, and then it cuts to a snippet of each song after they give you a discussion of why they picked the songs. So sort of odd that they start with the
Intro
thing
to Turning
from
Japanese, which is not a song
yeah,
on this album.
You know,
And a little iffy for the title of the album and what
Yeah.
is shown on the front of the album cover.
right. Well, they go with the whole album has the aesthetic of like Asian culture. Because the mass market CD has the ramen thing, but it's drumstick. We've talked about this in one of our first patreon.com/Sadie Hawkins pod episodes where we covered this CD. But it is like a little iffy, but I think it's meant out of a place of love, because we know that Thiessen he loves Japan. Like, it's a really important place to him. So, you know, if it's cultural appropriation to have the ramen thing on the front or the panda holding the microphone on the other version of the CD, that's, you know.
John Warren, who's in Denver, Colorado. We're here at the Relient K is for Karaoke listening party, part 2. 14 songs. 14 songs. Count. Wow. So, we're getting 4.
And this is part 2 because this is the one where they actually do talk about a little bit about Africa.
So, do you just want to skip ahead to Africa?
Sure.
There's so many songs we should have played the clips from, because One Headlight's going to be our next. They talk about Motorcycle Drive-By in this video, but One Headlight's going to be our next Patreon episode when we do this album again. And they talked about Cake the Distance on here, and here we go. Toto, Africa.
Toto's Africa, which we also have been covering live.
It's gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I bless the rains down in
dad loves that song.
My dad is gonna, when I send him this song, he's gonna freak out. He'll probably want to come on tour with us and play it.
Father's Day on tour.
Father's Day on tour.
Yeah, my dad could sing.
Bring your daddy to work day.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. What other songs are on there?
So Ethan's dad loves Africa by Toto.
Yeah, and Ethan's as well, it sounds like.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
I love that you took, we ended up having to click on it on Danny's phone, and he took it back, and then, like, he was going to continue on with the deep dive.
No, sorry. So, but I was just going to say, like, we should have been going over these videos every time we do a track from this album. We'll start doing
I
that
only
again.
just discovered it, so because I don't usually do too much of a deep dive ahead of time.
Right.
For the covers, we usually kind of do a little bit of that live.
Right.
I have an interview from May the Rock Be With You.
And with you. May the Rock be with you. That's appropriate as we're recording on May the 4th be with you. And may the horse be with you, Jessica. May the horse be with you.
And also with you, Dan. Relient K, Wednesday, 3rd of August, 2011. Interview by Scott Smith. I feel like Australians that dig our music are pretty awesome people, haha. We love coming over and playing, and we're surprised people dig us so far from home. But the demand is there for us to keep coming back, and we hope that doesn't change. Relient K may need introducing to some here in Australia, but for those who saw the band supporting Paramore on their last Australian tour, I am sure no introduction is needed to the band, their live show, and witty pop rock songs. Coming back for their 3rd Australian visit for Soundwave Revolution, Relient K may have a surprise or two in store with their set list, having just released their first covers EP, K is for Karaoke. See, sometimes you see it as K is for Karaoke, sometimes you see it as Relient K is for Karaoke, and on a very rare occasion you see is for karaoke. But then again, covers are no strangers amongst a Relient K set list. We chatted with lead singer Matt Thiessen. Hey Matt, thanks for taking the time to chat with May the Rock Be With You.
You're welcome. And with you.
So tell me about your new EP, K is for Karaoke, what led to the inspiration to release a covers EP?
Well, there were a lot of songs that we would do on tour and a lot of other songs that we liked. And we thought, well, it'd be cool to collect them all together on this album. Is that basically what I said? I'm Matt Thiessen.
Well, there's been a bunch of bands we grew up listening to that have released covers albums, and we have always thought it would be a cool idea for us. I guess it felt like the right time, as we are just about to start recording another full-length record of new songs. So we thought to pass the time and to put out some new recordings, we would do some cover songs.
I gave a way more interesting response than that. He's just like, well, we thought we'd do this. That's what that answer boils down to.
There's an interesting mix of artists that you have covered. How do you find the experience of interpreting the different styles of artists and songs that you have?
By not interpreting them too greatly, just doing the covers straight ahead.
We basically went through a list of songs we have played live over the last 10 years, then just choosing random songs we thought would be good ideas. Some of the songs we chose based on perhaps some of our fans having not heard of before, such as this might be a cool Tom Petty song to introduce our fans to, or this might be a cool They Might Be Giants one.
Which we came up against when we talked with Greg from This Might Be a Podcast. Dr. Worm's like one of their biggest songs.
Right.
Like, and I found an interview with Ethan where it's like, well, we thought this wasn't that big a song. But it's like, if you've heard of They Might Be Giants, you've heard of Dr. Worm.
Right.
So it's so funny that they kind of didn't know. It was like the last big budget video they made. It was like, it's just so funny.
Unlike Surf Wax America, more of their fans knew Dr. Worm.
Yeah, it's sort of like, it's kind of like if a band decided to cover Relient K, and they're like, well, we could do one of their big songs like Be My Escape or Who I Am Hates Who I've Been, but let's do one of the songs that's kind of under the radar, like Sadie Hawkins Dance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they even said, or this might be a cool They Might Be Giants one to hear for maybe the first time. Now I also believe there's
Backhanded compliment.
now I believe there's a full-length covers album coming out from you. What songs have you got lined up for that one?
Sorry, last thing on the They Might Be Giants. I get what he's saying. It's like, if you're a Relient K fan and you haven't heard of They Might Be Giants, it'd be cool for you to learn about them from us. However, They Might Be Giants is one of the secular bands that Christian kids are often allowed to listen to because they have that connection to children's music and to children's media like Mickey Mouse and Tiny Toons.
Yeah, every time I hear them, I'm like, this is just like a kid's band.
I mean, yes, They Might Be Giants have a few more swears in like the last 10 years, but there was a point where for their first like 20-something years, they only had the word bitch. Like, out of hundreds of songs, they had no other swears. So it's like Christian kids are often allowed to listen to Weird Al and They Might Be Giants, if no other secular music.
So this next question that comes up is about the fact that there was the EP that came out first,
Right.
which had less songs, and then before the full length. So now I believe there is a full length covers album coming out from you. What songs have you got lined up for that one? Yes, actually, we just got a phone call from our producer Mark this evening, and we're going to start mixing the final 8 songs. There will be 15 songs in total, and we hope to have it out in October, I think. There's a few fun 80s ones, like You're the Inspiration by Chicago and Africa by Toto. We also did some cool ones, like a Not a Surf song and a Third Eye Blind song, which was like a deeper track from their self-titled album, which I really like. So would you say the songs you were featuring on these covers albums broadly represent musical influences in the band? Well, partially, but then there's also a bit of sarcasm in choosing some of the songs as well. The Justin Bieber song, for example, we are not aspiring to sound like that, but that's our take on it. So has there been any work yet commenced on writing songs for your next original album, so to speak? I would definitely say a little bit of work, but not enough has materialized for us to discuss where we are going to end up. I am just dreaming it up at the moment and having fun picking up on the possibilities of what we can do, which is, of course, collapsible lung.
Right.
3 years later. It's been a couple of years now since...
2 years later.
2 years later. It's been a couple of years now since you released Forget Not Slow Down. No doubt having a chance... It's been a couple of years now since you released Forget Not Slow Down.
Your voice is struggling so much. I'm sorry. Do you want me to read the
No
rest?
doubt having had a chance to reflect on the writing. Yeah, let me just finish this one. On the writing and recording of that album.
You're a consummate professional. You got to see this through to the end.
Have you already identified any specific things you are looking to change up in the process for the next album? Oh man.
Yeah.
Wow. Looking forward to this answer.
Big changes.
You're right. Yes, there are some things. Oh boy. I am open to trying co-writing with some people to see what they would do with our band. Stylistically, I feel at this point, being our 7th full-length record, we can kind of change and do whatever we want. Who and did ya? So I might try and do a few things we have never done before stylistically. Well,
use the word sexy.
So even back in 2011, this was something that he was thinking about doing.
That's cool to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I don't think next
Let's
time we
write
talk
with a
about
whole bunch of
Collapsible Lung, we
people
have to
and
remember
really
this.
switch it up. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an early idea. It wasn't like some late game thing. Like, yeah, that's cool to learn that. So from that interview, last thing on They Might Be Giants is, yeah, Dr. Worm, big song for They Might Be Giants, a single, a video, but like Motorcycle Drive-By by Third Eye Blind is probably much more of a song that you would introduce to people, because that we learned when we did that on Patreon. We learned when we did that song already that it wasn't even a single from that album, although it's a very, very popular song in the Third Eye Blind fandom. Not a Surf and Cake, I feel like, are lesser bands than They Might Be Giants. Not a Surf and Cake and They Might Be Giants have all had like
Cake definitely had its time. It had sort of like, you know.
But Not a Surf, Cake, and They Might Be Giants are all of a sort of certain like geeky rock thing that had their trysts with radio and MTV play. but I feel like they might be
Just for like Relient K.
Yeah, but I feel like They Might Be Giants has a larger, stronger cult now and even in 2011 than does Not a Surfing Cake by comparison. Whatever. Am I biased? Yes. So we're going to give Jessica a little bit of a break from her having to read these, and I will help read the rest of this article. When writing songs for Relient K, where do you draw your inspiration in a lyrical sense? Well, Tom Petty and Paul Simon know how to tell a story, and John Mayer also really knows how to put a phrase into a song. I always try and poetically put things down with my own signature, but I am also trying to change that signature as well and grow as a poet. Cool. Makes sense. Okay, says the interviewer. So here is a brief moment to explain what your involvement with the label Mono vs. Stereo is all about. It just occurred to me
that this is an Australian interview. We really should have brought in Denny to read the interview part.
Well, it's funny you mentioned this because the interviewer actually was Denny.
Oh, wow.
And I just wasn't... I do a pretty good Denny impression. He's not here, but I do a pretty good impression of him. So here, I'll read it in my Denny impression. Okay, so here is a brief moment to explain what your involvement with the label Mono vs. Stereo is all about. And we don't need to read this interview because we already talked to Brad Moist from Mono vs. Stereo.
That's
we know all about that. And then Denny continues, so in September, you are headed out to Australia for Soundwave Revolution. You have had a couple of tours here in Australia before. Oh, by the way, apologies to Joel. Well, we said he was from Australia. He's from New Zealand. Our listener, Joel, our patron over at patreon.com/Sadie Hawkinspod, Joel K. Polke, he is from New Zealand. I can't do a New Zealand accent, unfortunately. But Denny continues.
You can't do an Australian one either.
I will pretend you didn't say that. You have had a couple of tours here in Australia before. The way I gear up for my bad Australian accent is I talk about a desk. Sitting at my desk. Here at my desk. Got pen and paper on my desk. Once headlining a Christian youth event and the other supporting Paramore when you were here in Australia, both contrasting types of tours, how do you find your time here? I feel like Australians that dig our music... Thiessen continues, I feel like Australians that dig our music are pretty awesome people, ha. We love coming over here and playing, and we're surprised people dig us so far from home. But the demand is there for us to keep coming back and hope that doesn't change. Then should I just keep going? It's a long interview. Are we just going to read the whole thing?
We can just skim. Let's see if does it mention anything about Africa or anything else super interesting.
I don't think so. I think they moved on from that album. They're talking a lot about Australia. Denny asks, what is it you think attracts fans to Relient K? And Thiessen says, I don't really know. Well, anyone likes our band, I guess. Ha. Our personality translates into the music and then into the live performance. We don't quit. We keep going. That's a good thing, I guess. We've been working hard for 11 years just touring and making sure we get to places like Australia, which is kind of awesome.
I'm really sorry. This is all my fault.
Jessica can't talk that.
I just meant I shouldn't have brought up Denny.
I said he's not here right now. I do my best I can with my impression of Denny. So just to remind everyone, in 2011, you can catch Relient K on the Soundwave Revolution Tour in Brisbane on Saturday the 24th at the RNA Showgrounds. They'll be in Sydney on Sunday the 25th of September at Old King's Oval, Parramatta. They'll be in Melbourne at the Tab Corp Park, Melton, They'll be in Adelaide at the Showgrounds on the 1st, and they'll be in Perth on the 3rd of October.
Hitting all the big spots.
Yep. So then what else should I read? Was there anything else you were going to read?
We have a Jesus Freak Hideout review.
Okay. I see
the album.
that. And I'll click it, and here we go. So Jesus Freak Hideout gave this album 4 out of 5 stars.
Nice.
They note that the album length is 14 tracks. And the street date was October 4th, 2011.
Do you know what didn't pop up? And I wonder if, I mean, I guess X Carl Up and Die X didn't have
Right.
anything to say at this time
On Punk News.
about this over on Punk News,
Right.
because there is not a Punk News that I know of because it did not pop up in my
Well, this
deep
is their
dive.
least punk album because it's, it's karaoke. It's a bunch of cool pop songs.
Sure.
So this album we didn't mention was released on October 4th, and that's the day after they were in Perth. So they're in Perth, and then the next day the album comes out. So the review says, "Here lies Relient K's quote-unquote full K is for karaoke release." I don't understand why they open it with "Here lies," as if it's dead. I guess they mean like it's here on my desk and I'm writing about it. The first half was available in June, but now finally we are presented with the finished product. I will make no bones about my dissatisfaction with the way this thing wasn't just released altogether the first time, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, okay, this is Danny speaking. It was confusing at the time, I remember, and I never owned a physical copy of it for that specific reason. I mean, it was, I think we talked about it before, but not today, but in past episodes, that the Volume 1 was released pretty much on tour and online, like not in stores, and it was this later full version of Volume 1 along with the second half of the songs that was released in stores. Which is pretty much the way they did their Christmas album as well. Like that
that's
first
true.
half
Yeah.
on Bruise Your Hands.
That's how they do all the covers,
Yeah.
I guess.
Like technically you could get Bruise Your Hands in stores, but you had to buy it as a pack-in with three lefts, know? I'll let my review of the first half of the project stand on its own. Even though the songs previously released are now intersped throughout the full K is for Karaoke, it isn't like these songs form some kind of cohesive picture. They're covers. We should start coming up with some collapsible lung level of headcanon for this album. Like, no, you don't understand. These are supposed to be covers,
Right.
because it represents Relient K's, who knows.
This is why I read this deep dives.
Is there much else to say? I mean, they just describe the album. Like, we know what the album is like.
What do they have to say about this particular song? Because usually Jesus Freak Hideout does go
Track by
through
track.
and yeah.
So they say Toto's Africa has a lot of heart behind it and feels very inspired. That's literally all they had to say about this version of the song.
Sometimes that's all they do have to say about a track. So nice. Good to know.
Let's just read the summary at the end. Altogether, these 14 tracks, no Relient K fan should be without. And even if you never really hopped on the RK train, it's still a lot of fun. Now, with this album out of the way, we can all focus on what's really important, that follow-up to Forget and Not Slow Down. And now we have some good tunes to help us get there. Review written by Josh Taylor. To all you lungies out there from the Golden Coast to the Jersey Shore, the Golden Coast being in Australia, of course, we wish you wonderful days waiting for that follow-up to Forget Not Slow Down. It's as if the podcast is ending, but we still have a little bit more to go. So that's Jessica's deep dive by way of me stuttering my way through it.
We also have an HM Magazine press release, but it's really just gives the facts.
Yeah.
So we can skip that one.
As I said, there are a lot of covers by other bands. There's Affiance is a metalcore version. Circuitry is another metalcore version. Chaos Divine is a progressive.
That's too bad because I'd really like to hear the medical version.
I was hoping you wouldn't say.
Sorry.
So I found 2 different bluegrass versions, and I didn't go looking for every cover of Africa, but these are just the ones that also came up while searching for Relient K Africa or Punk Africa. But the Beef Seeds, which is a horrible name for a band, have a bluegrass version. And Doug and Cletus have another bluegrass version.
I thought that the Beef Seeds were maybe going to be a metal version, but no, they're bluegrass. I guess that does make sense.
I also want to mention the Weezer music video to this was just awful. It was directed by Weird Al, the aforementioned artist that Christian kids are sometimes allowed to listen to. But it's a recreation of the Sweater Song music video, where they're in, which was directed originally by Spike Jonze. So it's like he's one of the greatest music video directors of all time. Certainly at that time, he was actually doing incredibly fun and innovative ideas. And then Weird Al just like recreates that video, but he's in the Weezer, and Weird Al's in Weezer instead of actual Weezer. Oh, it's not funny. Gotcha. They just recreate it. Okay. And like the original Sweater Song video has like amazing stuff where they actually had the camera upside down at one point. It's a single shot video where the camera's upside down, but you don't know it because they're actually hanging people from the ceiling. But you can't tell they're hanging from the ceiling until they turn the corner and there's people on the ceiling, and then the camera turns and you realize that the first people were hanging on the ceiling. Like, and they cheap out on like doing that in the Weird Al version.
Gotcha.
So
wait, so Weird Al directs the music video to this song, to Africa?
To this song. Wow. And it's basically like a thing where like I guess Weezer didn't have the time or whatever to actually be in the video. So Weird Al did a video without Weezer in it. Which
there wasn't
a
lot going on in the original Africa video, so recreating that would be...
Yeah, but they should have... Instead, they recreated a video that had nothing to do with Africa. It's just a song that has a video that had to do with Weezer.
Right.
Like one of their best... Probably their second best artistic video after Buddy Holly, like the technical feat of creating the Buddy Holly video.
Right.
Which has no CGI in it, by the way. If you've seen the Buddy Holly video, there's no computer trickery in the Buddy Holly video. It is all in camera or editing effects.
That's great.
Like every time you think you see Weezer in the same shot as a member of Happy Days, it's a stand-in, and it's cut quickly. And then when you see the faces of the Happy Days people, that's actual footage from Happy Days. You don't see the face of a Happy Days actor at the same time as Weezer, other than Al, who owned the diner, because they actually got that same actor, and he hadn't aged too greatly since Happy Days.
Did they use like a rear screen projection or anything? Or...
No, they just recreated the set of the diner.
Wow.
And had stand-ins when like the Fonz is looking at Weezer and you see the back of his head and he's looking at Weezer. Yeah. But there's no in-camera trick. There's no post. It's all post, but there's no digital trickery in that video. That's great. There's mission trip footage that some people had in Ghana, but we'll just end on this. No, actually, we'll end on 2 things. Mr. Master 7492 on YouTube created, and I've seen this image on Google Image once in a while, but this is the actual video where they created this. They do a 3D rendering of the panda with the microphone from the original Volume 1 release of K is for Karaoke. And they show a time lapse of their desktop computer when they created it.
Wow.
Like creating all of the polygons and shaping out how they're going to create this 3D panda, recreating that cover out.
I wonder if this is a Full Sail student.
Art. Maybe. So that's cool. And like I said, I've seen. Let me skip ahead. It's a 5-minute video.
Or perhaps the Dave School.
They definitely have to be from Florida. That's the only place where people learn how to do 3D graphics. Yep. So I've seen this final image. I've seen that on Google Images. Like people have taken this and used it for Relient K fan.
It's super cool. I like this. I like the panda with the microphone. I think it's great art. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that, and then this is what we'll end on. Probably, it's like one of the best ideas for an FMV that I've ever seen. Whereas we've seen so many literal FMVs where people lip sync to the song as if they are Relient K, and they're in their backyards or they're on their college campus doing that. Well, these folks took a trip to South Africa, and in all the various locations that they went to, they were like, while we're here in front of this building or here in front of this vista, we have to lip sync the song, and then we'll edit it all together into a final finished video. So this is by Samantha Hutchinson, and this was uploaded 6 years ago. And I have to assume they don't have playback, so they probably just lip syncing it in their minds and hoping like that the timing, or maybe speeding up the video to match it up. But it's just cutting to all over their trip.
That's so fun.
I see lots. Like I said, there's another video I found on YouTube of someone's mission trip, just like footage from their mission trip in general. That's a common FMV to find, is just footage from someone's vacation or their trip. But for them to actually go on a vacation, and while they're on vacation, make sure to get all the shots of them lip syncing the song and then edit it together in the end, that's pretty cool. You could say it would take them a lot to drag them out in the morning and go shoot the video.
Oh, and they're showing a thunderstorm.
So they're on some sort of high peak right now. Oh shoot, I just clicked the back button. But they were just like on some sort of high vista point, and like one of them clearly did not look happy with the height because she's kind of like keeping her back to it.
But they're dancing, they're having a good time. It looks like Twin Peaks, the video that they watch of Laura and Donna like having a fun picnic and dancing.
So then in the replies, Elaine Martin says, Samantha, when I am old and drooling and you are taking care of me, I want you to play this video. It makes me smile. Aww. And Samantha Hutchinson, the original poster, says, Elaine, will do. Maybe over Christmas we will make a family one. Did they? Let's go look at the YouTube channel and see if Samantha Hutchinson ever made another Relient K video. She said maybe we'll do that, but I don't see that they did.
Aww.
Darn. It's all just footage from like raw footage from their trip. Well,
good stuff. Or maybe they didn't. They just felt they didn't feel the need to share it on YouTube.
It was just for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
So that's Africa by Relient K. How are we looking? 2 hours? Cool. Even when
making up for lost time.
Making up for lost time, and we're still going to do 4 episodes this month at patreon.com/SadieHawkinsPod.
So Dan, do you like this song more or less or the same?
I like it the same, to be honest.
I think I like it a little more.
Oh, good. That's nice. Yeah, I really do like it the same. I didn't say this throughout the episode, but this is a song that I feel like if I hear it too much, I might get tired of it, even though so many other people don't feel that way. But it is a song that both versions could out here. Yeah.
This is definitely a song that the original version that the radio sometimes decides that they're going to play it like once an hour, every hour, you know, for like 2 months, and you go, okay, enough of this, and you switch to another station when it comes on.
And I meant to mention, as I say that, let me just really quickly go back to the...
Sorry.
Go back to the official Africa music video on YouTube, because in the comments 5 days ago, Gibbs Ogden wrote, Day 177 of listening to Africa by Toto every day for a whole decade.
Oh.
They've committed to listen to this song every day for a decade.
Oof.
And then 55 replies going, well done, mate, well done. Hey, I forgot this existed because I have the memory of a goldfish, but I'm back for day 5, LOL? I don't understand.
That's a
day
great,
86.
Wow.
So great. I guess there's a cult behind Gibbs. Everyone go out there and let Gibbs Ogden know that you are behind their crusade to listen to this song every day for a decade.
It's good stuff. If anybody has any dust mite remedies, send them our way.
I stopped. I stopped. I stopped. I stopped. I stopped.